All right. Hey guys, it is Sam from Aperilife. And in today's video, we are going to hopefully do a very quick get ready with me. I am preparing for my flight tonight. I'm going to be service leader on a flight going to Milan from JFK. This is a route that I enjoy doing because my partner will come on the layover and we'll have a nice dinner with a business partner, and then it kind of will give us the opportunity to see each other. And this is one of the many ways that I am able to maintain and have a successful long distance relationship. So in today's video, what we are going to talk about is not relationships on the romantic level, but relationships platonically. I've talked about this before on my TikTok about how difficult it is to make friends in Italy. It is not the easiest thing. It's something that a lot of people do not discuss. And you come to Italy and you just assume that you'll find work and that you will make friends the way that you typically would in any other place. But it's not the same. By far, it's not the same. It is 10 times more difficult. And a lot of people think that it's it's a personal problem when they don't find friends, not thinking that it's actually the Italians. I'm almost out of primer here. I've got to go shopping for all this stuff. I do a very cheap, a little bit of everything. If you all like this type of stuff, I will then tag the stuff down below. But in the meantime, I'm just going to show you like a little snippet like that. How about that? So it's not you. A lot of times it's Italians, because Italians are not accustomed to meeting friends the way that we do in the States. Italians have this thing where typically how Italians how they make their friends, it's in school. They make their friends early on, and that is their friend group majority of their life. Italians do not change schools. They really often, it's not something that happens often. And not only that, they also do not change cities, which is another reason why they have no problem to change schools. I remember growing up, having kids that came from all over the country that had been the new student on the block, like, hey, this is such and such, he's from this is that. I remember having new students all the time. And not only that, I do remember having certain things where I had friends that had different classes than I had. So I ended up building different friendships than my friends had built, because I might be taking Spanish while my friend took French. So I might have made a really cool friend in my Spanish class. So both of our networks broadened out. So this is something that is not common in Italy at all. A lot of people make their friends at the age of like 14, I'm going to say 13, 14, and they stay in the same classroom with the same people the entire time. That's the crazy thing. They stay in the same classroom with the same people the entire time. And it's something that I wish more people spoke up about, because if so, when people move to Italy, they wouldn't find themselves in such a difficult situation of being lonely and not knowing what's going on and not being able to find friends. Like, even if you are like in a mommy group or something like that, let's say if you're going to like a Lamaze class or like, mommy yoga, you'll be in the mommy yoga situation and you'll have people who have something in common with you. And then you're in the class and then you are out. Nobody tends to like kind of socialize. And I know this from friends who are mommies and who have had this experience. And if you hear creaking, it's because of the stool that I'm sitting on. But I've had friends that have had this situation in the past, and that is what I'm going off of when it comes to that. So anyway, Italians find themselves not being as social because they just aren't used to it. They don't realize that they're not bringing people into their groups. So with that, you end up finding yourself looking for friends. And since I have had the situation of being in Italy and building a group from scratch, most of our friends, even just like how Italians friends come from their childhood, a lot of your friends come from the same thing. It's like childhood and work. And me being in Italy, not having a childhood connection and not having a work connection, I have found myself in a situation where I've had to separate myself from people that I've met as an adult that has either different views on how we see life or different ways of handling certain things. And my My way of going about this, and I don't know if it's the right way. It's the way that I do things. But the way that I've gone about this is that I take the approach of actually having a conversation with the person about us ending the friendship, and that it's not them, it's not me. It's just that I don't personally think that we match, and I don't want them to change in order to be my friend. There are certain situations where I'm interested in having a conversation, and if there's misunderstandings, because throughout the process, before I end the friendship or before I separate myself, because it's not, I maybe it is personal and maybe I try to sugarcoat it, but I try not to make it personal, because I don't want to have that serious conversation with a person about something, unless it's like, you're drinking, you're having a problem with this and I don't want to have that conversation, and then it makes them feel a certain way and like they can't be themselves. So I'm just using Sephora brand concealer here, guys. And really quickly, I am going to read an article because this happened to me. And then I had a friend that sent me an article, which is from TZR. I've never heard of them before, the Zoe Report, where they actually talk about why ending a longtime friendship is sometimes necessary. Now, I'm going to tag it in the description box below. I'm not going to read the entire article, but I am going to go over some of the bullet points that they mention in this article. So please do bear with me as I do this, my makeup, and try to talk about the topics, because I felt that this was something that was actually a little bit soothing for me and the decisions that I've made with ending friendships. And not just that, it also made me reflect of if I am a friend that is also like that, and how I can be a better friend to my friends. So this person, I'll start out with just the beginning here. It says, like so many other countless Sex and the City fans, I've long marveled at the true love story at the heart of the cult favorite franchise. The one connecting the four main female characters in decade-long friendship that seems triumph, tragedy, and many bad dates. So when last year reboot, which I'm not a Sex and the City fan, I'm sorry guys, but when the unfriending of Samantha Jones, it was shocking, right? I'm not going to read it verbatim. I might put certain parts up on the screen here, but it's going to be in the description box. Diehard fans really going to buy that loyal friend Carrie could just end a long-term friendship, blah, 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 right? So they talk about certain aspects of being a friend and why you might be friends with certain people. So this says it's based on coincidence. This is a common response I've received, because this person did like I think they did a poll on their Instagram asking people why they've ended friendships, which this it says they did an IG poll, and they said this is a common response. Many of my friends mentioned holding on to childhood pals simply on account of longevity, feelings, all those years in each other's lives built on a sense of obligation, even when they knew relationships weren't serving them. That is a really big key point, relationships not serving them. I do have a really close cousin that has a friend that I think that she definitely should have distanced herself from years before. I think that that relationship served zero purpose. I personally moved to Brazil as a foreign exchange student when I was 17. So I've been traveling for a long time, guys. 17 years old, I started to travel and do things on my own. And then as I returned from Brazil, I realized that I had nothing in common with my friends that I was only friends with because of the based on coincidence, that we went to the same school, that we had the same classes, that we just had some people in common as friends. Here it says, thinking about how the friendship had been before makes it more difficult to walk away as a present. So if you had really close friends in high school and you were like, oh, I've gone through this with this person, I've gone through that with that person, and you kind of hold on to this person from this short point of completely off of this small amount of time that is your developmental time, like the time that you are growing into being an adult and having the evolving that happens. You know, there's tons of friends that in school that I found amusing and that they pass the time. And then you become older and you're just like, these people are a waste of time. These people and myself, we have nothing in common. We don't have anything that we would really like. The way that I operate and the way that they operate is completely different. And there are a lot of people that I know are still friends with a lot of people solely off of that, right? And of course, because I'm a person that has moved and I have lived in many a places and I have traveled to many a places, and I'm not the person that you're going to, you know, you might occasionally like message and say I have a graduation going on or something like that, like a monumental moment, but you're not going to call me typically for just a weekend barbecue or something like that. Because if I get invited to certain things, I do feel like I do need to come in order to support my friends, especially if they know that it is not necessarily an inconvenience for me, but it's something that it's not something that's low-key out of the way. I'll be honest, it is low-key out of the way. My friends know if it's important, I'll be there. And so they message me for things that are really, really important. So anyway, let's see. They've interviewed a doctor here. And the doctor, Todd May, I'm going to say his name is, coincidental friendship has only the coincidence of time and place in common. So you may think your oldest friend from childhood is the most valid, but for the Aristotle, if you have in common, all you have in common is this history, it's really a matter of coincidence. Your friend could have been anyone. Moreover, having in common time and place mean that once these two factors fade, so will the friendship. Time and place, time and place, time and place, something that a lot of people, you know, they don't really necessarily think about. And because I am so big on time, I'm not looking to kill time. I'm not looking, you know, like I have my So anyway, that was the first reason, being based on coincidence. I don't want this to be too long. So yeah. The next thing of the friendship of it all is emotionally draining. Now, I feel like this is something that enough people do not end friendships about, or maybe this is the reason. If so, I don't know. I feel like there's this like double-edged sword of, if your friend is emotionally draining, that friend tends to have a lot of stuff going on in their life. And there's a lot of guilt that would come with you ending the friendship because of the emotional drainage of it all. But there are a lot of people who do it. I know of people who will distance themselves. I know of people who distance themselves from people who have used whatever they're going on, whatever going in their life psychologically or health-wise. You know, they've used those ailments or whatnot as a way to control a friend in a situation. And you know, some people, they know what's going on and they're okay with it, and they're like, well, you know, such and such is sick. And then certain times you have people who are just like fed up, and they realize they're being taken advantage of. They realize that a lot of things are avoidable. And let's say, for example, if you have a health ailment and it says that your doctors have told you that you should not be drinking, and you're out every weekend at the bar singing Pound Town and WAP and all these other songs, you know, drinking like a fish, or do fishes drink? You know what I mean? Like drinking a lot. That means that when you are having health issues, whose fault is it? So anyway, it says it's emotional draining. And then it says a Minneapolis-based therapist suggests paying attention to how you feel after spending time with your friend. If more often than not you are feeling drained, anxious, emotionally exhausted, it's worth considering whether the friendship is contributing to your overall well-being. And I think there's so many people, like, they look at the phone and they're like, okay, such and such is calling. They always call with something. Oh, such and such is calling. They always call with something. And I'll be honest, my mom, to our surprise, she ended a long-term friendship some years ago. Maybe it's been like 5 or 6 years ago. And I was surprised. But this woman that she had been friends with for decades One, the woman was emotionally draining, and it was like so bad that, you know, she knew my mom's work schedule. The woman, I think I don't know what mental, like, I don't know if she has bipolar or whatever. I'm not sure how she was diagnosed, but my mom had grew up together. They had known each other for years, and my mom knew that this woman, she was going to call me as soon as I walk out of the office. She was going to call me as soon as I such and such. This woman knew my mom's schedule, and it used to frustrate me as a daughter because I don't live locally. But when I wanted to get on the phone with my mom was always on the phone with this woman, and I was just like, dang, mom, like, hello, like, can I actually have a conversation with you? Like, can you share? Can she share with us kids, like with your children? My mom ended up ending this friendship. She went on a fast, and she was saying she didn't want to like gossip or something like that. My mom was trying to do better with all that stuff. I believe this is the story, this allegedly. And my mom, she ends up telling the lady that she was taking a break. It was going to be a 30-day something. And the woman flipped. And my mom had for years sat around while this lady was toxic when it came to other people, like her family and her kids and her this and her that. But my mom had never actually experienced it for herself until this moment. And when this happened, my mom was just like, oh no. And it got really bad. But the emotionally draining part here, it says, however, if consistently you find yourself feeling devalued or criticized after spending time with your friend, it's a red flag. If your friendship has become a breeding ground for negativity, it may be the time to consider whether or not it's worth holding on to. And that's something that's really important when you speak to your friends and you're with your friends. And I've learned this through Italy, you know, because I meet a lot of people. I've made a conscious effort to make myself a person who is kind of like a little socialite, a little bit in Italy. Not big, but a little bit. And at least in Florence, you know, and I don't make everybody my friend. I don't invite everyone to my house. I don't invite everyone to one of my events or, you know, a cocktail hour or something. I don't do that. I don't do it. And it's really simple of the reasoning that I don't do it. Not everybody brings the same energy that I want to be involved with, or I want in my home, or I want during my happy hour, or I want to be around my partner. And I have for sure had moments where, you know, it's not even just before you meet up with after you meet up with the friend when you feel a certain way. It's also before. I've had people where I feel like I'm nervous before I meet with them. I'm on my pins and my toes about not wanting to offend them, not wanting to say anything wrong that would like put them in a mood or something like that. And guys, that's like one of the worst feelings, when you feel like you cannot be yourself. This is Bare Minerals. I actually bought the wrong shade for this, so now I use it kind of just as a contour. So you know, I bought it a little too dark, or a lot too dark, and I found out the hard way it was too dark. So I'm not a professional makeup artist, guys, so please note that the way that I do this and the brushes that I use are not professional. This is whatever's on sale at TJ Maxx. It was just certain people that I found myself like very nervous to talk to during basic things, guys, like really basic things, like, oh, I'm doing this, oh my god, I don't want to upset her, oh my god, I don't want this, oh my god, I don't want that, oh my god, if I say it this way, are they going to feel a certain way? This is a Fenty, this is Mocha Mami. I use this along with the contouring. I like a little red undertone. Now, does it always look good? No. Is there some mishaps? Yes, 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 Lord. Yes, definitely. But, you know, my guy is supportive of the makeup journey. And he tells me, he's so cute. He tells me if it's too dark. He's like, your makeup looks a little too dark. Like, you know, he's really sweet with it. So this is another Fenty. This is Coco Naughty. This is actually my regular shade, which I always find it funny when I see other people. Like I saw Chloe Bailey doing her makeup, and she uses this as her contouring. That's how big the difference is in our skin. My regular skin tone is what she uses for contouring. But that's the beauty of Black girls. We come in all shades. Anyway. So, yeah, I felt like really panicked. I felt really panicked with meeting with certain people because I was just like, okay, am I going to piss them off? Are they going to be upset with me? Like, nobody wants to feel like that. No one wants to feel like that. And I've ended friendships because of that. Let me tell you, my whole journey in Italy of defining who I want to be as an adult has been a fantastic one, because I have been able to separate myself from people who I don't deem good for my mental health or good for me in general. And and also, I've been in my relationship for a while. I didn't make friends until I had actually been in Italy for 4 years. So my relationship was already built on trust and love, and we were already going strong long before I met my circle of girls here. Before it was my girls, it was me and my guy. And there is also what comes with that of like wanting a person to respect your partner. Another reason why I've had to end a friendship. People being fake too. So I'm gonna spray now with some setting spray. This is MAC. Oh, it's so funny. I have MAC because at the airport I didn't have any setting spray. So MAC it is. Now, this is the way that you put on setting spray. I don't know the proper way. That's how I put it on. So you're gonna wait until this dries, right? So it's emotionally draining. So the next one here is it's a one-way street. A one-way street. Any relationship, platonic, romantic, or otherwise, should be balanced in terms of energy input. Friendship should be a two-way street with both parties investing time and effort. Of course, every relationship goes through different seasons where there may be an imbalance of give and take. That is normal. But if your relationship is characterized by one-way giving constantly, perhaps it's time to let go and find another. In relationships that have spanned long periods of time, it's natural to want to fight for it, even if there's a lack of reciprocity. And I feel like, especially with the lack of reciprocity part, I know, heavy on the setting spray, heavy on it. I feel that when it comes to the lack of reciprocity, especially when you have friends who are friends who you've known for a long time, you want things to work out, you're trying your best to kind of say like, hey, we can do this. Let's make this work, but I need you to help me halfway. When you get yourself into that position of, hey, we need to try to fight for this, I almost feel like you're at the point of it being too late. And let me tell you, like how I just said about me having a partner before my friends, my partner is also supposed to respect my friends. So it is a mutual thing. It's not just because I've had my partner first that there is no mutual, respect that is had. But I enjoy with my partner, we will sit and we will analyze friends. Okay, I will analyze his friends as well. Who's saying something toxic, who we feel is toxic, who we feel it doesn't have our best interests at mind, who we feel is racist, who we feel has said something that's problematic, who's in a relationship consistently and not taking the signs that are healthy for them to be in a relationship with somebody. I see, this is how it looks. My hair is in little twisties underneath this scarf. So just put some leave-in conditioner in it. It's been kind of dry and then it was too oily, and it's been such a balance having the natural hair. I want it to grow really beautifully this time. I want it to be healthy, and I am not going to be cutting it. So I want it to be long. I looked at some pictures of how my hair was before and I was like, oh my God, it was so long. Just imagine how it would be now if I hadn't cut it. So I'm going to be patient with it and just let it do its beautiful growth thingy. But, I feel like when there is the reciprocity that you want to be had, especially for long-term relationships, I feel like you are getting to the point that is almost like the point of no return where the relationship might end, because you're now noticing something else is happening. Like a lot of times, the reciprocity situation is something that's always been there, but you might have ignored it. And then there becomes a point of time when maybe something new might happen in your life. There's a shift, and now you feel as if you're being taken advantage of. And with that, you have to like make the decision on whether or not you want to say something to your friend so that there is a balance in the give and the take. And if you do say something to your friend, will that shuffle how your friend moves in the future? And by moves, I mean like, will your friend now, would they be thinking before they do anything with you? Oh my God, I don't want to upset her. Oh my God, I don't want, oh, like who wants that? I don't want it. I don't want it. And I feel like in some cases with some of the friends that I've had, I feel like a lot of times it is okay, this characteristic of this person, this is part of who they are. And maybe I might have had a similar characteristic at one point in time, but I no longer do. So this no longer suits me. Somewhere in the process of us being friends, somewhere in our journey of being friends, I went one way, or I accepted something a different way than they accepted it. And we grew differently. It doesn't mean that that person's a bad plant or a bad whatever. It just means that we're different. All right. So it's not uncommon to want something to work out so bad that we overgive but fail to receive, which is both self-depleting and depriving. Oh, what I say, taken advantage of, right? But if you feel like consistently your needs are not being met, this is a key indicator that the friendship is no longer mutually benefiting. All right. The next thing here is contradicting values. And this is something that I think a lot of friendships have ended recently over, which is considering the current political and social climate, it's not surprising to find yourself at odds with friends on hot topics. And to be clear, it's certainly possible to agree and disagree on certain things in life and proceed. However, there can be instances where these differences are too different to ignore, specifically if it involves general worldwide views or social issues. This is something that is big. This is something that I think people want to make it seem as if people can get along when there is certain things that are just huge differences. And I think I think that there are certain things that some people will not be able to move past. And I think that it's dishonest if you are doing that. And I also think, hold on, wait. I also think, oh my God, I just realized I'm not using my microphone. Sorry. And I just bought several of them to use for this type of situation. I used it in my last couple of videos, so I really hope the sound is okay. I really, really, really hope the sound is okay. But I think that there's a lot of people who find themselves in situations of friends that are now more left-leaning, right-leaning. Maybe you're a person that wants to go out and block the highway to protest for animal rights and global climate change. Maybe you're a person who's super on the right and you agree with the wall being built, or migrant crossing should be stopped, like whatever it may be. There's tons of different things that we can all disagree on, right? Just a moment, guys. I feel like I need to concentrate. I was thinking my cat eye. Very tiny and subtle. Meow, 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 meow. Okay, and I think I just might. So there's a lot of people that I feel have that. If you and your friend have become increasingly more polarized in terms of values, beliefs, or life outlook, then the friendship may no longer be as beneficial as it once was. This can lead to clashes that are difficult to resolve, leaving both people feel unfulfilled. I tell you this, especially being a flight attendant, you have tons of people who are pro-union, against the union. You have people who are, you work hours with people who are completely different, social background. And it's not just social backgrounds of the US. You have people who have social backgrounds because they believe in certain things with Italian politics, with German politics, with French politics, with Brazilian politics. It goes beyond just, the US. So yeah, and that can lead to clashes if there's social differences, and I think that's okay, especially if two people have social differences and not everything does requires like a conversation sit down like how I have. Sometimes it's just a slowly drifting apart. I have friends that we had completely different political backgrounds, and I was surprised. And I've got an itch here, so I'm going to use my brush. Just do a little pat. That feels better than me scratching it with my nails. And we just slowly drifted apart. It had nothing like, it wasn't a conversation. It was nothing like that. It was just, we just slowly drifted apart. It is what it is, right? Interactions become increasingly rare. Now, guys, I am a flight attendant. This is something that is so common in my sector, mainly because, hey, I'm not always around. And I made the video on TikTok, and maybe I'll post it on here one day. It's like 3 minutes. If you guys are interested, please let me know below. Let me know down below how, if you're interested in knowing how I've made myself a permanent figure in my friends' lives, and being a person who travels and all that, how I've made sure that I am remembered and that I am always invited, especially when it comes to important stuff. Oh my gosh, why does that burn? Wow, something must have got on this brush, because it is burning my... Here we go, guys. Here's some of my makeup. I'm gonna put on some blush, which is also a Sephora brand, because this is basically a Sephora face, y'all. But this is something that like you have to make yourself memorable. You have to. So it says here, anyone in a long-term friendship has likely experienced a pivot or several as life changes like marriage, children, career developments that come into play. These shifts naturally impact schedules, make it trickier and a bit more complicated when it comes to making time for each other. However, Hartman, I think that's the doctor, explains that if once close friendships had begun to fade due to lack of interaction, it could be indicative of deeper issues within the relationship. If it's always you that has to take the first step, write to your friend, make plans, call them, etc. If one person seems more interested in maintaining contact than the other, then it might be best to move on. And this is something as well, I'll be honest, I've had people who have paid me dust. How you guys like this pink? Now I've learned right now with this season, nice fresh pink is wonderful to have. And I am all in my Barbie mood right now. You guys know the Barbie movie is going to be coming out soon, so I'm all in my Barbie mood. Let me get my lipstick out of my bag. I went out yesterday and actually wore lipstick. Here we go. So we'll do my lips, and then we'll read the last point here. Yep, it's the last point. So, but with this, you know, there's some people that you just grow apart from. And I've had it where there are people who I'm trying to be friends with. You know, they give me the signs that they want to be friends. And, you know, when I come to Italy, I make it known that I'm in town. Because if not, everyone is under the assumption that I'm not there. So I come back often. I'm with my friends often. Is there a different pink? I think I have a different pink here. This pink is running low. Is there a different pink in here? There is. Da, 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 da. Also a Sephora brand. It's a dry. Here's my face. What do you guys think? Pretty natural, right? Anyway, when I wash my face off, guys, I also use Sephora brand makeup remover. It works. So I use Sephora brand any chance I really can get. And it's affordable. Especially for this. Super happy with this face. Simple pink classic. Last thing here on the list, guys, which is, I think, one of the best final points, if I may say so myself, And that is that the relationship is toxic. It's one that we just don't talk about enough. And, or maybe it's the one that we actually mention enough of and we recognize it, but we still, I feel like actually that we recognize it, but we still don't treat it the way that it is, which is, if you think of something that's toxic, it's unhealthy. So it says, this is a tough one, as toxicity can take many forms, but in general, if your relationship is no longer a healthy connection that is a positive impact on your life, this is a sign that it's probably not for you anymore. If your friend attacks you, criticizes you, and doesn't respect you, and also tries to make you feel bad, this could be an indicator. When you tell them about your achievements and they don't feel happy for you and they always try to highlight negative about you, they only use you to vent and take into account how you feel. They are not acting like a friend. You know, that's something that recently when I had to ask myself if I was toxic, because I hold myself to a high standard. I also hold my friends to a high standard. And I think that one of the best qualities that I have and that my friends appreciate is that I'm honest. And with honesty does come great responsibility, because if your friends are having something happen, you have to take into account that if you want to actually be that person, are you going to be that person that's be the bearer of bad news? Not everybody is interested in that. So not everybody wants to be the person that has that on their back, that they saw something that was not in the best light and they ignored it because they didn't want to hurt their friends' feelings. It's a really tough, tricky situation. So anyway, other signs of a bad dynamic could be the nature in which you connect with your friend, perhaps bonding time mainly revolves around drugs or alcohol. Perhaps there's extreme jealousy at play in regards to other friendships or relationships in your life. These could all be a telltale sign of unhealthy connection. So I had a friend who I felt that they had a level of jealousy as well. I'm a very happy person. I've worked really hard for my life. I've worked really hard for my relationship. We're not perfect. My life's not perfect. My job's not perfect. But there are certain things that, like I said before, I feel like I've taken control over that particular thing. Like and to put myself in the best position, I can't control how fate goes, but let's try it this way. Like, let's plan. Let's do this. Let's do that. So we don't have all these variables that are being added to our equation. And I've had it before where there are certain things where it's just like, okay, I'm able to go out and spend money when I'm in Italy, especially because the cost of living, if you are coming there with the US dollars, is really low. So I make US money and I'm able to spend it there so I can really have me a badass time, you know? So I've had situations where I've had friends that have said certain things and I'm like, that's not nice, that's not right, that's not the appropriate way to handle a situation. Like, I'm listening to it and it kind of made me feel guilty about my situation, which is not fair to me, right? So with that, I no longer not necessarily that I look at everyone and I say everyone's jealous of me, but there are certain things that people say. There are certain habits or mannerisms or little, people always, and I'm only wearing one earring, I know, it's in my room. I know some people, they say certain things and it's like, they try to make it seem as if it's not a low blow or if they're not saying it to hurt you, but they're hurtful. There are plenty of things that, that ends a relationship. It just depends on how you decide to end it. Is it worth ending it, actually verbalizing that you're ending it? Is it worth just kind of letting things skate by and just say, you know what, we'll deal with this a different time. Maybe at this point in time, this person needs to calm down. Let me give them their space. Let me separate. And then we can come back and we can talk like two adults. There's a lot. But I thought this was a really, really, really interesting conversation, especially considering that I've had this happen several times and I am in a place of adding friends, and sometimes you can add things and you realize this does not work. So, and you have to analyze, why is it not working? So anyway, guys, thank you for watching this video. I hope you watched it all the way to the end. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to link this in the description box if you're interested in reading this article. It's really short. I basically just covered it all. But if you're interested, I will tag it in the description box below. Have you ever ended a friendship? Have you ever had to have those difficult conversations? Do you just ghost the person? Like, how do you handle these type of situations with friends? Let us know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Support me on all my social media platforms, especially my Instagram, and here on YouTube. I am trying to grow these channels. And that's basically it. I will see you all in the next video. Ciao, ciao.